And a top focus on WION right now. Maldives is facing heat after 3 of its ministers made racist remarks about Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And Malé is now trying to douse the diplomatic fire. Maldives has proposed a visit by its president to India later this month. And this after New Delhi expressed its displeasure over the comments made by the 3 deputy ministers of Maldives. Well, it all started after Mohammad Moizu came to power in October last year. He's known for his China leanings, moving away from the island nation's old ties with New Delhi. And breaking tradition, he skipped New Delhi as his first foreign visit and instead headed to Turkey. The Maldivian president is currently on a state visit to China. He is expected to meet the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Beijing and Malé are also set to sign multiple bilateral agreements. But back home, Moizu is trying to douse a diplomatic fire ignited by unwarranted remarks made by his ministers. All the 3 deputy ministers who made the remarks have now been suspended. Malsha Sharif, Mariam Shiana and Abdullah Mehzoom. They all worked for the archipelago's Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Information and Arts, and they were disciplined for their comments on social media. And China is now trying to steer clear of the controversy. Beijing says it has never asked Malé to reject New Delhi because of its conflicts with New Delhi, nor does it view cooperation between the Maldives and India as unfriendly or a threat. The remarks of the ministers have sparked outrage across India, with many Indian stars and political figures condemning the remarks. Prominent political figures in Maldives have also condemned the comments of the ministers. The Maldives National Party referred to the remarks made by the ministers as unacceptable. Similarly, the Maldives Democratic Party released a statement demanding appropriate action against the senior officials in question. And WION spoke with Maldives' former Defence Minister Maria Ahmed Didi and former Vice President Ahmed Adib. Well, both spoke out against the comments that were made.
Uncalled for, something that you should not, as ministers, do with the closest neighbor, from with whom we have had time immemorial, relationships that are so close. India has always come to our rescue whenever we needed them.
When you are in an elected position, you should not engage as an activist. So you have to be more responsible. And also these degrading remarks towards the global leader, Prime Minister Modi, and as well as racist comments against Indian citizens, is not acceptable.
And for more on this, our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal, is joining us live on the phone line on this story. Siddhant, now President Moizu, who assumed office in November last year, has visited Turkey, UAE and China. And now Maldives has proposed a visit of its president to India.
Well, correct. And this visit was proposed before the ongoing diplomatic row erupted. So there has been an attempt by the Maldivian side to reach out to New Delhi. But the attempt is not that much as compared to the shrill that has been created by the Maldivian government's decision. First, of course, not to renew the hydrographic pact. The second, of course, is that increasingly they have been saying that India must withdraw its troops from the country while acknowledging the role of Indian assets in evacuation. Now, we spoke to Mariadi, who is the former defense minister, and under whose tenure we saw increased defense engagement, who clarified that these are troops. These are basically technical people who are there to support the Indian assets like the helicopters and others, which help in evacuation. So essentially, this is the government that has come on a plank which is very anti-India. And they, of course, in the governance structure are bringing that aspect, and that is leading to the current row, including the comments by those deputy ministers who have been suspended. So what next is the big question. There hasn't been any engagement. Even if I talk about the previous presidencies, President Soli, when he within 1 month was in Delhi. In fact, the President Yamin, before President Soli, he had, of course, anti-India views, but he also chose to come to India and then go to any other country. So when it comes to India first policy being reaffirmed, that hasn't happened under the current government.
Right, Siddhant, just the point you made there that the Maldivian president has clearly marked a departure from its tradition of making India the first foreign destination for a newly elected president. How do you gauge India-Maldives ties going forward, especially after the racist comments row between both the countries?
So first aspect, when it comes to the region, barring, of course, Pakistan and Afghanistan, leaders, when they get re-elected, whether it's Sri Lanka, Maldives, Mauritius, Bhutan, any other country you name it, they, after re-election, come to India as a policy of reaffirmation of how close the relationship is when it comes to India. The second, of course, aspect is India-Maldives relationship. Look, this relationship has grown leaps and bounds. In fact, India helped Maldives in 1988 coup, whether it is the water crisis of 2014, whether it's the COVID crisis, which we have seen part of this decade. And essentially, India has been helping in capacity building, infrastructure development. And there is a lot of positive aspect when it comes to this relationship. A lot of Maldivians to India for education, for health service. Political side aside, the people-to-people relationship, the general between the society is very strong. There are elements, the extremist elements in the ruling government who have been taking anti-India stance, and that is why we have seen the current crisis.
Right, Siddhant, thanks very much for joining us on WION at this hour. We'll, of course, be tracking this very closely right here.